Hello and welcome to using the 3D printer and setting up files to run to 3D print objects. Alright, so we have right here, as we are in Autodesk Inventor, I have a little sprayer nozzle that I would like to 3D print. You can see all the very nice intricate parts. The first thing I need to do when I want to 3D print an object is I need to come up here in Inventor and go to File. It's a little eye up in the top corner. I'm going to come down to Export. Export allows us to change and use a lot of different file types in order to export drawing files. We're going to use CAD format. When we select it, this box comes up, and I can come in here and I can set it to stereolithography or .stl. This is the file type we're going to need to run the 3D printer. I'm going to save this to my desktop right here so I can just find it very easily. Next very important step is we need to come into options and we need to set the units to inches. A lot of the times it'll be set to centimeters. We just need to make sure it is set to inches or it will not export in the correct format. We're going to hit OK. We're going to save. I've already saved it, so I'm just going to hit yes, saying I want to do this. Then the next thing we need to do is we need to open up Catalyst. Catalyst is going to be our working zone into the 3D printer. It allows us to control the 3D printer. I need to come up to File. I'm going to open STL, and I'm going to be able to click on my desktop and find the file I want to import. It's going to be Staggs Briggs Carter. This is going to be our nozzle, and the file type is going to be the certificate trust list. As you can see, it has brought it in. Just by clicking in this box and moving the mouse, I can pan it around to see all the different sides. But I'll leave it right here for now. Just by looking down the side here, I can see the STL size in inches. It's using the English system. I can see it in the X direction, which is this, Y, and then finally Z. This is so you can check that your item is actually in the correct scale. I'm next going to come over here to the layer resolution, which we're going to leave at just 0.01 for now. Our default setting for the model interior, this is just how much fill is going to be inside the object that we print. We're going to set it to low density, which is the lowest amount of material inside the object, which is still actually pretty strong. I'm going to use Smart Sport Material. Number of copies, I'm just going to leave this at 1. If we want to have more copies made, we're going to do that later on. We're going to also check to make sure our STL is in inches. And our scale, we can come in here and we can change the scale to different things. So if I wanted to make this 5 times larger, I could also make it much larger, as you can see down here. But I'm just going to stick to 1:1 scale because that's what we wanted. I'm also going to come up here and check that we are using the Uprint 3D printer. This is the printer that is actually in Mr. Tuttle's room right now. Next, I'm going to come into the Orientation tab. And this is where I'm going to be able to change where the object is. A lot of the time a file is going to be in a different sort of orientation, but in order to 3D print it, the best way to do it is having the most material flat. It's going to take the least layers and it's going to be easiest to work with. We can change that right over here using these. I can rotate it 90 degrees. Say I wanted to rotate it up, I could click right here and it will print vertically. But we want it to be laying down, so we're just going to leave it how it is right now. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to process the STL right down here. As you can see, it went, and we have a lot of lines on it now. This is showing us all these layers that are being used to build this object. So right now I can look through here, I can go to the bottom layer, and this is the first layer of support material that is being laid down by the printer, and I can step up and see each individual layer being built, or I can step back down to see the bottom. As you can see, this is where my nozzle is going to actually start to being built using the green material in here. And I can click through this all the way up to the top, which allows me to see what's being used, as this is support material. The darker is the actual modeling material. They use different materials so that we can separate them. Now, our STL has been processed so that we can actually have our layers built, and describes the print job that is going to be happening. My next step will be to add it to pack. Now, as I go into my pack, the pack is going to be like the print queue. It's going to be where you can set what is being worked on. This is actually a representation of the plate that is in the 3D printer that the printer actually prints on. These blocks are 2 inches by 2 inches, and the total work offset is 8 by 8. I can take my object and I can move it all around. It is best to put it close together. I usually stick them in the top left corner just because that's where the print head starts and it's the quickest thing. Over here we can see how much modeling material is being used, how much support material is being used, and how long this object is going to take. That can depend on how big the object is or how complex the object is. We can also, clicking on this, I can make a copy of it. I can make multiple copies. Say I wanted 5 of these, 5 more of these. I can make several of them, and I can add them to this pack as well. And I can move them all into place. When printing a lot of objects, it is the easiest to put them close together so that we don't have an object over here that the printer head has to move all the way to here for. It just saves time in the motion. Now, if I wanted to print this pack, I can come and select print. My printer is disconnected right now, but that is not a problem as we are working with the printer offline. But the print would come up in the build queue.